Listen, that's you wouldn't be the first person that said I should enter an asylum, put it that way. But that is Rhino, because on the pure foundation, the structure of it, in passing, like for instance, I speak to you and you understand it, but then your friend goes, hey, can you describe how Rhino goes up to me? It's very difficult to regurgitate. So yeah, Rhino goes up because everyone buys coin every single week, and that equals the demand that makes the coin go up. And the person then says to you, well, that just sounds like a pyramid scheme, like a Ponzi scheme. Like everyone's buying, but where's the value? Like, what's the value equal at the end? Well, Anthony said that when we get to a certain point, everyone's gonna migrate over to the search engine, but it doesn't make any money, but the way he described it. And then the person looks at you like, buddy, do you hear yourself right now? You're that person. You're the person that is getting tricked. And it's really unfair to Rhino because I haven't been able to effectively message it in such a way that people can understand and be able to regurgitate it. Because my difficulty, or at least my issue, or the thing that I will not let up is I'm trying to teach my vision, right? And that's difficult. Because if it was so teachable, or everyone was able to see it, or everyone was able to comprehend it, then everyone would have, right? By definition, if it's going to be successful and it's teachable, ergo, it would have been done. So I'm making the biggest mistake by sitting here trying to describe how I'm going to create a device that's going to turn sand into water, and that going to the desert's a good idea. When in actuality, what I should be describing is, I have this plan to make this invention, and these are the steps I need to take, because that's something you could share a little bit easier. But yeah, he's inventing this thing, I don't know what it is, but he's just sharing the plans to get to the invention part, right? And that's all I want to be a part of, because that's something you could kind of comprehend. So what I did was, I tried to strip out the vision of it and try to relate it to something that everyone already is aware of, and in a way that takes what one is aware of and solves it. And it got me thinking, because again, I've had this conversation 50 times this week, and the most embarrassing part is every time I've had the conversation, I was worse at it. I was speaking to this one guy who worked at a law firm. He's an assistant to white-collar criminal defense attorneys. And he's like, Ant, you know what this sounds like? I hear this all day, and I'm like, oh my God. I was like, you're not understanding. He goes, well, help me understand it. I'm like, I don't have the words anymore. I'm fully mentally exhausted from doing these verbal gymnastics all day, trying to teach a vision in a way that also respects what it is we're doing. So I've simplified it. I really did. Everyone remembers Dogecoin, right? Remember that coin that was completely worthless, that had a quadrillion supply that everyone was buying? And hold on, my team's trying to get into Salesforce, and I got the double verification. But that coin that was completely worthless that everyone was buying, and it went up to $88 billion on a worthless coin that was worth nothing. So a lot of people could look at that. Yeah, it's still right. So a lot of people look at that and say, wow, look at those fools. Look at those unsophisticated people. Look at those suckers. They bought something that was worth nothing. You could say that. I mean, it's a really poor opinion. It's a populist opinion that allows you to kind of look cool amongst people that were equally uninvolved. Because the reality is, zero went to $88 billion in less than a year. And if at no point can you see that and think of that as some type of accomplishment, then you're missing something. Because 40 million people purchased this worthless coin and ran it to $88 billion, where the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, owned it himself. Actually put it in the balance sheet of his company, Tesla. So you could say, yeah, well, that's kind of like a Pied Piper. He tricked those people. He didn't create the coin. He didn't prosper from the coin. You could say maybe he bought some low and sold high. Sure, anyone could have done that. you can't call him a moron. He invented like self-driving spaceships, right? Like, so what are you missing? And the part that I think people were missing is it was one of the few times in history that at least I can recall where the people actually understood their value. You see, wealth is transferable. It's an illusion. You can have $100 billion in stock today and it could go bankrupt tomorrow and you could be broke. Wealth is an illusion. The only real value is population because people actually live. They live lives. They're productive, they're annoying, they're reproductive. That's real value. People will always be the real value because people are the productive capacity of the globe. Nothing's ever been invented without a person. No labor's ever been accomplished without a person. That's what is the value. Anything else is simply just pie in the sky. In fact, I would say that you, and not you, but you as all of us, are the general fools to believe that we're worth absolutely nothing. That the real wealth is by the CEOs that own the largest companies. Guess what? Their companies are only worth anything if we go shop there. If we don't shop there, they're worth nothing. People are the value. And I think that's what Dogecoin actually represented. That when everyone collaborates and unites and focuses their collective energy, their collective value to one agreed upon asset, the sky's the limit. That's what Dogecoin taught us. And I think in a weird way, Rhino coin, I keep calling it Rhino coin because we did, I'm just gonna call it Rhino. Rhino is that evolution. I think, honestly, Rhino might have been founded on that experience because I never bought Dogecoin, right? But when I saw it going, I was like, this is crazy. This is absolutely cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. This is never going to last. And I was right. But I was right because the way it was structured. You see, in any type of investment, the value is always on what's happening in the future, not what happened in the past, right? Like you could be married to the most amazing wife. If she goes ahead and cheats on you 7 times tomorrow, or the most amazing husband, right? Like whatever, then it doesn't matter really all the past anymore. It matters, well, how can I live with you going forward? Everything in life is going forward because we don't have time travel. We can't go in the past. Your past gets you to where you are today to make the decision going forward. So how could Dogecoin have been structured better? Well, the difficulty with Dogecoin was the excitement and the greed allowed everyone to go ahead and put all their money in at once, which allowed for that whoof. But what did that do? That went and took away from the future. That pulled the future forward. Because say, for instance, I could buy 10,000 worth of Dogecoin, right? Like in my life, I'm only gonna be able to buy 10,000. Well, if I buy all 10,000 today, what can I buy tomorrow? 0. Therefore, what's the value of a coin that I can't buy anymore? Well, now I'm in a corner. All I could do is sell it. I can't buy it. I can only sell it. Therefore, the value of it must go lower. But what if I went ahead and said, all right, I'm going to purchase this 10,000 at $1 per day? Well, then the coin always has a demand. It's worth that much. It's worth $1 a day because it always has $1 coming into it. But you could only make that calculation if you know the supply, because supply and demand. Well, Dogecoin, I believe, had 500 quadrillion coins, and I believe it made another 50 million per day. So for it to be worth 88 billion is actually a lot more impressive than you would think, because the calculations would never allow it. The calculations didn't allow it to go up, but yet it did. If the same 40 million people purchased Rhino Bucks would be worth probably $1 trillion. It just would be, because it has a finite supply of only 1 billion, and it's built to go ahead and be recurring every week. And if it's recurring every week, then what does that mean? It means the demand goes up every week because whatever the demand is this week is the demand next week plus the growth. Now you could say, well, Anthony, you're not obligating anyone to buy, so people can opt out at any point. So you can't really say the demand always goes up. I agree. But that's where that whole going into the desert and finding water thing comes. I believe, in my experience with behavioral economics, that if you create something that is trusted by the community at large because they see it moving up all the time and they have the connection and engagement to know exactly what's happening along the way, then they are not prone to sell that thing, because an economy is confidence. If you have a confidence in something, that's the economy you're in. Therefore, I don't believe the same amount of people will opt out as the people that then opt in, because those are opposite behaviors. And if you could create the behavior that allows someone or nudges them not to sell, it's the same exact behavior that allows someone to want to buy. And that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that builds upon itself. So if you have a limited supply and you have a reoccurring structure, and two more things that we have that Dogecoin doesn't. Dogecoin, to buy it, you had to go through all these different hoops. You had to go to this wallet, create this, buy it here, blah, 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 blah. We partnered with Stripe. It's one click. And it's recurring, automated. And all of the coin comes to you automated. One click and you're done. And you never have to touch it again. And with Dogecoin, what was the big thing that moved it? And you can actually take a look at the high of Dogecoin. It was the night that Elon Musk went on Saturday Night Live, because he became the spokesperson by proxy for Dogecoin. So everyone that purchased it were because they believed in the quasi leader, the proxy leader. And when he spoke, it moved it, even though he didn't even own that much of it. It was that they had a leader. They had somebody that spoke their language. They had somebody that was reinventing and recreating the world in the eyes of the future. I'm not calling myself Elon Musk. I don't know even Elon Musk will forget more about engineering than I'll ever learn in my life. But can it be oppositely said that I might forget more about behavioral economics or behavioral science than he'll ever learn in his entire life? And if that's the case, by being available every single day, by emailing every single day, by Rhino then taking the next step starting in December and building out a travel schedule where Rhino comes to town, can it be said that the degrees of separation from the person thinking about investing to the person actually hearing from the person that is leading the investment be shorter? Could it be said that you would be able to have more access with the person that's a spokesperson of the coin, have a simpler opt-in being one button, having a better supply structure where it's not infinite, it actually is limited, and having the structure that says that guards you against from buying everything all at once and spreads it out so that the value maintains. And on top of all that, we do have an asset on the other end, which is Rhino Street. And to those that say, well, Rhino Street doesn't make any money, that's fine. It was never going to make money. The whole value proposition of Rhino Street is that it doesn't make money, because it becomes the first actual community Main Street oriented search engine. It's naked. It's just search for Main Street. There is no investment opportunity. There is no money opportunity. There's no marketing. There's no anything. Therefore, if you search Rhino Street, you only get your Main Street. What is the value of that? Well, it's a big value, but who pays it? Well, you would say, well, Anthony, the businesses are really, they're really benefiting because they should pay it. I agree, but I'm never going to make them pay it. Okay, well, the people in the town are benefiting because they're reinvesting in their community. They should pay for it. I agree, but I'm not going to make them pay for it. Well, Anthony, if you're not going to make them pay for it, how are they paying for it, and how does it make money? Well, you're asking the same question twice, but opposite. Rhino Bucks isn't backed by anything. It has no value. How is it worth so much? Rhino Street has all of these assets, but it's not making any money. How is it worth so little? Rhino Street plus Rhino Bucks equals what you're thinking. You just have to put it together.